Okay, so right now we are on our fourth tool under data analysis Toolpak, which is called histogram. And now let's define what is a histogram. So a histogram is simply a accounts occurring of each of several data bins. So it's actually like a bar chart, but for continuous variable. So here is actually the example here. So, and the use case, one of the use case of this tool is if we want to look at the distribution of continuous variable. So the way histogram works is it's actually sorted. The x-axis is a continuous variable and it is sorted, and we have the thing called bins, which that is how we define the intervals between the range of our x-axis. So here, if you can see this example, we have up to 0 up to like 100, and we have a different bin. So one bin corresponds to one column here. So the histogram is basically like a bar chart, but it's for a continuous variable, whereas a bar chart is more for a categorical variable. Yeah, so here's actually basically just the same. So now let's learn how to implement this in data analysis Toolpak. So here's the process. So first is, of course, we need to look or open the data analysis Toolpak, search for the histogram, and click OK. And after that, it will show us this histogram window. And for the input range, we just need to select the variable that we need to analyze using histogram. So for this one, we are selecting column F, the total fat column on our data set. We also have bin range, which is as I mentioned earlier, this is the way we define how do we count the columns, the bars that we will be using for the histogram. So here we're just defining the bin range here. So the bin range is this one. I just placed them here. It's not really a part of the actual raw data. We just define them depending on how we will be defining each of the bars on our histogram. So for this one, here the bin range is in column H, and for the labels we check it, and for the output option we selected J1, and for others option here, like Pareto's, sorted histogram, cumulative percentage, chart option, we check all of them because we want to maximize the feature of this tool, this histogram. And after that, you just need to click OK. And once we click OK, it will show us this. Basically, actually there's two outputs here: a table, your bin range, frequency, cumulative percentage, another bin range, frequency and cumulative, this table, and this chart, this beautiful chart of histogram here. Okay, so this chart is a bit challenging if we do this actually manually, but with the help of data analysis Toolpak, it is much easier to create this kind of histogram. So now let's go to Excel, to our exercise files. And now we are in the histogram tab of our exercise files. So right now, from the example, we now have our target column, or the column that we want to analyze using histogram, and that is column F, the total fat. And we have here the bin range, or bin range total fat, which is defined here. So again, this data here is not part of the actual data that we have. We just define this depending on how do we want to present our histogram. So for this case, I just defined an interval of 5, from 5 to 100. Okay, and now let's start creating the histogram based from this data. So go to data analysis, click the histogram. Okay, so here I already have some data here in the input. So for this one, I selected the whole data from column F, and for the bin range, I selected this one. Okay, this one. Yep. And labels is check. Output range is J1. This one. Then this one. Sorry. Oops. There's another. Okay. Doubles. Okay, it's now good. We check Pareto, sorted histogram, cumulative percentage, and chart output. Okay, and then click OK. Alright, so this is the output. The raw output is actually a bit messy, especially for the chart. So we have here the table in which our chart is dependent to, but I think the most important is this chart. So let's maximize this one so that it will show the whole data beautifully. So okay, so yeah, so for the histogram, this is actually it. So for the x-axis here is the bin range, or the way we divide this total fat column. So the reason why we are dividing that is because we are counting per interval. For example, here, how many belong within the range 0 to 5. We count them, and they are 3,509 points. And for the next bin, how many are between 5 and 10? Within 5 and 10 range, they are 1,079. Okay, and so on. Okay. And the Pareto option earlier that we just checked creates this cumulative percentage column, which just with this line graph, it is easy for us to analyze this one using a Pareto chart. For example, here, if I want to look at how many data sets, what percent of the data sets are actually greater than or within the range of 0 to 20, I just need to look at this chart, which is this one, which is this point, sorry. So the value is 85.83, which means every data points to the left of this one, this one is already 93.35% of the whole data. So that is the use of this cumulative percentage. And again, the y-axis here is the frequency, or the number of instances that fall under a particular range. Okay, so that is the histogram. And as you can see, once we click the histogram, it also highlights this data that the tool also created. So because this chart is also was just built using this table here. So yep, that's it. So that's the histogram functionality of data analysis toolpak.